Before I get started, I'm going to point out again, in honor of the Jews who were murdered during the Holocaust, I do not take this yellow star lightly. My ancestors were labeled Juden as well. So the previous video I did was identifying the sons of Shem. And I didn't identify all of them because I didn't even go through our Pax head yet. But it was an hour and a half video. These videos of identifying peoples take a long, long time. And I just can't spend hours and hours and hours on videos. So I do the best that I can. All right. Now this video, the very first thing that I'm going to go to, proving who the sons of Japheth are, is so glaring that it should only take me 5 minutes and I can be finished. And completely destroy the so-called white Israelite narrative. The only people who ever spoke in terms of white, black, and yellow, or the people who started that trend, were sons of Japheth. So I will go, let's see, to, which one is it? Is it this one right here? No, this one right here. So I will first go here. Japhethites. So the pronunciation varies widely. Iafeth, Yafeth, Yaphet, Yafet, or with a th on the end, and spelling as well. Yeh.feth, Diphath. Okay, so the meaning of Japheth or Yafeth means to wonder, enlarge, entice, persuade, thought, and intellect. Bear that in mind. Keep all these meanings in mind when we go through some of the things we go through today, because it all will start making sense. To make room, to enlarge, to beautify, to extend, enlarge, open, expand, opened up, make spacious, liberty and freedom. Listen to me, folks. Look at this very, very careful, and where do you see these ideals? Entice, deceive, intellectual activity, prosper, beauty, fair, and white. That's it. That's all I need to do. I'm finished for today. That's where the white people came from. That is what the name Japheth is all about. I'm done. I'm finished. But no, I'm going to dig deeper. All right. Now it says right here, details in the north. That's right, North Country. In the coastlands. Coastlands of what? Coastlands of the Mediterranean Sea. The word yam, which is Hebrew, is in reference to Yafeth or Japheth. It's in one of these articles if I'll ever find it again. But you can do your research too. You don't have to depend on me to do your research. I am not your rabbi. I am not your pastor. I am not your teacher. The whole point of my YouTube channel is to prove to each and every one of you that the new covenant will come to Israel when the time of the Gentiles comes to the end. And who are the Gentiles anyway? You'll find out. Now, as you see here, his land is enlarged and open and expanded. He has the greatest land mass of all of the brothers. He proclaims liberty and freedom. And is the most intellectually active, as the Greeks proved. The Greeks of Yavan. I believe Yavan's one of the sons of Japheth, or either that a grandson. But this is where as the sons of Japheth say, the white people came from. Now, I do not ascribe to the Western terms of, as they say, white, because not all the sons of Japheth were white, even though he himself was. Imagine that. All right, we're going to stay right here and then go to Genesis. I have gone through this scripture over and over and over again, not the last 5 years though, but the last few months. This one. And I've pointed out you details that your preacher has never told you, nor will he ever tell you. Verse 29, Genesis 9 and verse 29, and Noah began to be a husbandman, and he planted a vineyard, and he drank of the wine, and he was drunk, and he was uncovered inside his tent. They should have left him alone. Or I should say, Ham should have left him alone. But because he didn't, Ham received no blessing, and his grandson Canaan received a curse. Apparently, Noah did not want all of Ham's children to receive a curse. So it only went to one. But Ham, got no blessing. So the power structure, or the power, how do I say this? The power struggle in the later times would be between, therefore, the sons of Shem, or the representative of the sons of Shem, and the sons of Yafeth. Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father. What should he have done at that point? It just says, there's a lot of people who say that more happened. It is not written that more happened. If more did happen, then it would have been written. Just like the case of Judah's half-Canaanite sons who never produced any lineage, because 2 of them were killed by Jehovah, and 1 of them, Judah, did not allow to have any children. So Judah had children by Tamar himself, the Syrian woman. Anyway, I digress. And he told his two brothers outside. This is where the disrespect came. He told his two brothers. He did nothing about it, and he told his two brothers. He therefore, figuratively speaking, exposed his father's nakedness to his two brothers. He told on his daddy he was a snitch. Rather than doing what his two brothers did, cover his daddy up and shut his big fat mouth. And because of what his brothers did, they shared the great blessing. But Japheth or Yafeth would get the blessing first, and Shem would get the blessing last. And I will prove it right now. Now, Shem and Yefeth is how they pronounce it here, took a garment and laid it on both their shoulders and went backwards and covered the nakedness of their father. And their faces were backward, and they saw not. Well, it says they saw their, so that they did not see their father's nakedness. And Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his least son had done to him. And he said, Cursed be Canaan, the servant of servants shall be he unto his brethren. And he said, Listen carefully, because your preacher will never tell you. None of your preachers will tell you this, but I will. Blessed be the Elohim, the Jehovah Elohim of Shem. Out of the three sons, even though they all three and their wives followed Noah into the ark, there was only one who was a follower of Elohim to the full. That was Shem. Blessed be Jehovah Elohim of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. Elohim shall enlarge Japheth. Now, does it say, Blessed be Jehovah Elohim of Japheth? No, it does not. And that right there should tell you something. It says Elohim will enlarge. Patha. Spacious, wide open. They will get the in the end, in the days, times of the end, they will have the vast majority of the lands. Spacious, abundant, like a youthful man in his prime life. Extensive inheritance. It says perfect, possibly, make wide open. Be open-minded, be intellectual. Be enticed and be deceived. My, oh my, oh my, how the sons of Japheth have been deceived. They do not know that this great blessing is going to come to a smashing, fiery end. They do not know. Yet the Bible is filled with accounts of what is going to happen to the sons of Japheth. They are deceived by Satan. We have become foolish and silly to the point where you see what you see today. Wrong is right, right is wrong, up is down, and down is up. All right? And the extensive definition of Japheth, going all the way down here, fair and white. Getting a spam phone call here. Now, he's the oldest, I believe, of the sons, coming from the sides of the north. All his squadrons and his hordes. Now, Ashkenaz. Let's look at Ashkenaz. All right? That's, oh, wait a minute. Hold on. You have Gomer. And one of the sons of Gomer is Ashkenaz. Gomer from the sides of the north. All right, one of the sons is Ashkenaz. One of the sons is Japheth. And one of the sons is Togarma or Beth Togarma. Okay? Now, do you see this right here? Scott. You see, the Celts and the Gauls come from Yefeth. Now, let's look at Ashkenaz. Ashkenazi, or plural Ashkenazim from the Hebrew word Ashkenaz is Germany. No, it's not Assyria, it's Germany. Now, there are 300,000 Assyrians in Germany. The vast majority of the Assyrians are in fact in Germany today. But that doesn't make Germany Assyria, as Herbert Armstrong used to claim in his utter foolishness. You see, the Assyrians, after they scattered, or after they captured Israel, were destroyed by the Chaldean Babylonians, King Nebuchadnezzar. And they were forced to flee. Okay, so Ashkenazi Jews were a member of the Jews who lived in the Rhineland Valley in neighboring France before their migration eastward to Slavic lands, Poland, Lithuania, and Russia after the Crusades, and their descendants after the 13th century persecutions in Eastern Europe. Large numbers of these Jews resettled in Western Europe, where they assimilated as they had done in Eastern Europe with the Jewish community. In time, all Jews who adopted it's why they say German Rite synagogue ritual were referred to as Ashkenazim to distinguish them from Sephardic, who they had different rituals in their synagogues. That's all it means. Ashkenazi Jew different from Sephardic Jews in their pronunciation of Hebrew, in cultural tradition, in synagogue, cantillation, chanting, and their widespread use of Yiddish until the 20th century, and especially in the synagogue liturgy. And my dad's language was very comparable to Yiddish. Whenever he had an opportunity to speak to German Jews, he would speak to them in his language, and the Ashkenazi Jews would understand him, and they would speak back and forth. One would speak in Yiddish and the other would speak in Pennsylvania Dutch. And they understood each other. Today, Ashkenazi Jews constitute more than 80% of all the Jews in the world, vastly outnumbering the Sephardic Jews. In the early 21st century, Sephardic Jews numbered about 11 million, or Ashkenazi Jews numbered about 11 million. In Israel, the number of Ashkenazim and Sephardim are roughly equal, and the chief rabbinate has both an Ashkenazic and a Sephardic chief rabbi on the equal footing. Anyway, we're not talking about Jews today. Okay. Is this the same thing? Did I mess this up? I did. Okay, so now let's go and look at, make sure. And you can see the link here, folks. If I think about it, I will try to add the links. Now, these links are not perfect. Nobody is perfectly accurate. But it's accurate enough where you can go and look and you can find the truth. And you've got all the sons of Japheth and grandsons all here. But right here, I told you that the so-called, the people who call themselves white are sons of Japheth, but not all the sons of Japheth are white. I tried to tell you people this. And some of you are hard-headed and won't listen. We don't have a lot of time, folks, to get our lives straight. And the reason why I say that is because if you take a look around you, see what Russia is doing in Ukraine and what Russia had just done with Israel. I have to go to Diphath file to show it to you. I'm getting a bad reception today. This. Russia lets Iranian arms planes land at Khaiman Air Base. This is probably in retaliation against the Biden administration. You see what the sons of Japheth are doing? But this was predicted. Brother against brother. Haggai 2, verses 20 to 24. You can look it up. Brother against brother. Zechariah 14, brother against brother. Ezekiel 38:39, brother against brother. I think I spoke about that in the last video. All right. So let's go to this particular article. This is on your own Christian website. Even the Christians know that the Euros are the sons of Japheth. You can't have it both ways, folks, you Christians. You can't say that you're the real sons of Jacob and admit that you're the sons of Japheth at the same time. You can't. I've already proven who the sons of Jacob were. They are Syrian by race. And Syrians are not white in the classical sense. The only people who are white in the classical sense are certain of the sons of Japheth. Not all of the sons of Japheth, but certain ones of them. Now, I don't want to go through all of this, but right here, Shem, Elam, they're Persians. I showed you that in the previous video. Ashur, Assyrians, and northern Iraqis. Well, there are a few left. There might be 200,000 left in Iraq, and there are 300,000 left in Germany, and maybe 100,000 in the United States. There's not much left of them. Arphaxad, Chaldeans, southern Iraqis, Hebrews, Israelites, Jews, Arabians, Bedouins, Moabites, Jordanians, the Jordanians who call themselves Palestinians. The actual Peleshet, they are of the sons of Ham, or Ham, which are in the Gaza Strip. Lud, sons of Pethor and Bizayon, Ludim, Lubim, Ludians, Ludu, Lydians. They were in certain parts of Asia Minor and in North Africa. Okay? Aram, the exalted one, where the Syrians came from. Sons were Uz, Chul, Gather, and Mash. Now, Job was living in the land of Uz. The book of Job, you can read it. Therefore, and this is incorrect. The Lebanese are Zidonian. Zidonians are Canaanites. So they got this one wrong. Like I told you, they don't get all of this right. Okay? Nobody does. But the Lebanese are Zidonians. All right? Now, like I said, I've already done Japheth. I've already done Shem. And I don't want to do Ham today because it takes too long. Japheth, also Diphath. Now, Diphath and Yepheth is also the same name, and he was one of the sons of Japheth. Okay? Literal meanings are open and enlarge, fair or light, as in light-skinned. I am sorry that I have to dash you white supremacists' hopes and dreams into little pieces. No, I'm not sorry. I'm very happy to do so. Because you are delusional. Kind of like Rachel Dolezal, who was white with blonde hair, and how for all these years she went and appropriated blackness and got away with it. This is what you white supremacists are doing, claiming that you are the real sons of Jacob. You are not. You are fakes and frauds. I'm going to show you who you are. Now, Japheth had 7 sons. Oh, yes. Yes, the father of the Caucasoid, Indo-European, Indo-Germanic, or Indo-Aryan peoples. Gomer means complete. His sons were Ashkenaz, Rifeth, and Togarma. That's right. So Rifeth was a grandson of Japheth. Also known as Gamir, Gomer, Gomeri, Gomeria, or Jomeria, or Germania. Goth, see Sweden, Finland, and Norway. Guth, Gutar, Gadalis, Gaelic, see Scotland, parts of Irish, and parts of France. Gallic, Galicia, Galicia, Galatia, that goes into parts of Hungary, Romania, and even into Asia Minor. Gael, of course, that goes back to Gaelic. You know who the Gaels. It's all Celtic. What are you going to do, folks? Are you going to listen to the accused child molester, the accused rapist of his own daughter? Or this right here is conventional wisdom. Now, I'm not a proponent of conventional wisdom by any means. But there's too much evidence out there, folks. It really is. I mean, Sumerians, Armenians, and like I said, Armenians are not white. Not everybody's white, not in Sons of Japheth, but that's where the white people came from. Now, I'm not saying that there are not Jews or Israelites that can be passed off as white. What I'm trying to tell you is Israelites and Jews are not white in the classical sense. I wonder if I got a picture of myself somewhere. I bet I do. Did I put it in my computer? Let me go look. No, it's not right. It wouldn't be right there. Let me see if I... No. Downloads. Is it this one? I don't think so. No, that's not it. I had it in my other computer. Anyway, I want to... Okay. Now... these are all the different word formations of the sons of Gomer, or Gomer, all right? Now the Turks, no, this is a misnomer, because the original Turks were the Hittites, and even this particular article points that out in the sons of Ham, okay? But you had sons of Japheth who pushed him out, including Greeks, and they called themselves Turks when, you know, kind of like some of you sons of Japheth think that you are the real sons of Jacob, when you're actually the sons of Japheth. You went and appropriated a name, a culture. You did that with the Turks too. Picts Milesian, Umbrian, Hevetlians, Celts, Galatians, Ostrogoths, Visigoths, Goths, Vandals, Scandinavians, Jutes, Teutons, that's the Germans, the Franks, that's the other half of the French, Burgundians, that would be the Swiss, Alemanni is German, Germans, Belgians and Dutch, both Belgians and Dutch are the same people, and I think Luxembourg might be as well. Liechtensteiners, Austrians, Swiss, Angles, Saxons, Britons, English, Cornish, Irish, Welsh, Scot, French, and other related groups. What are you going to do? When the truth is laid in front of you, are you going to continue in your delusion? What do all these people have in common? Their hatred of the Jew. MAGOG. Sons were Elichnath, Lubal, Baath, Japheth, and Thathoshta. Also Gog, Cog, Gog, Gogarine, Jagog or Jajaj, Yajuj, Majuj, Juj, Majuz, Agag, Majuj, Magog. All these, keep on reading it, keep on reading it. Saka, the Scythians. No, the Scythians are not Israelites. Akuza or Ashkuza, Alani, the Alans, Scythians, Scots, also Rasapu, Rashu, Ruch, Ros, Rush, as in Russia, Rox, as in Roxolani, Roskalan, as in Russian. It just goes on and on and on. Rossiya is Russia. Belarusians, Ukrainians, Chechens, Dagestanis, Mazar, Magyar, Hungarians, also Huns, Hungar, not to be confused with the Far East. They mislabeled them Huns as well. Yugoslavians, Finns, Laps, Estonians, Siberians, Vogels, Poles, Czech, Croatian, Bosnian, Montenegro, Mordvins, Serbians, Slovenians, Slovakian, Karelians, Komizirian, Bulgarians, Tartars, not Turks, or it would be the sons of Japheth who appropriated the Turks who live there today. Cholchi, Armenians, Georgians, and other related groups. Madai, the Middle Lands. They were the Medes. They had mixed themselves with the Persian. This was the Medo-Persian Empire. And so, some people think that they might be Kurds today. But they are mixed with the Persians, which are the sons of Shem. They're mixed. Kurds right here. You can see the Kurds. All right. And East India, and that they are mixed with East India as well. So it does not, they're not perfectly pure-blooded races going on here by any stretch of the imagination. So this pure-blooded nonsense that Hitler tried to do was nonsense. You're all a bunch of mixed breeds. And so am I. Bulgarians, Tartars, Turks, Colchi, Armenians, Georgian. Okay, that's right. People. Now, the only thing about it is they say including peoples of Afghanistan, Pakistan, Azerbaijan, Turkmenistan, they are mixed because Cush, and you can read it when it talks about the sons of Ham, they're also in these locations. So they're mixed. Yavan. Sons were Elisha, Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodanim. Yawan or Yavan or Yawan. That's how it's. Okay. So the Hellenes, that would be the Greeks. All right. Grecians, Greek, Elysians, Spartans, Dorians, Tartessians, Britons, Aeolians, Achaeans, Acacians, or whatever you call that, Macedonians. Now Albanians, they're crossed. They're crossed with the sons of Ham. They know this. But they're Greek. They're of Yavan as well. Carthaginians, and the Carthaginians no longer exist because the Romans wiped them out. Cyprians, well, you know who they are. The Cretians, Latins, Venetians, Sicilians, the Italians, the Romans, Valentians, Sicilians, Spaniards, Portuguese, and that is... Okay, so the Spanish and the Portuguese would be of Tarshish, okay? So this is correct. Spanish, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, and other related groups. Britons are among them. Tubal. It says Iberians, but the Iberians were all over Europe before they settled into Spain. So there are some of Tubal as well as Yavan in Spain. All right. Irish, Spanish. There are some Black Irish is what if you will find them among Black Irish. That's what they call the Black Irish. You can look that up. They're of Tubal. The Black Irish have black hair. Meshach. All right. Mushki, Mishi, Musky, Mushku, Musku, Muskiva, Muska, Muskai, and it just goes on and on and on and on and on until finally you get to Moskva, Muscovy, Moscow. Latvians, Lithuanians, Romanians, and other related groups. Tyrus. I got every form of Troy is one of them, but not just Troy. Basque, Heruli, Vanir, Danir, Asir, whatever. You will find some among the Scandinavians, but the Vikings and Swedes and Norwegians and all them were by and large of MAGOG as I understand it. But they're mixed. I'm just trying to tell you, folks. The Japhetic people are, in general, some people in India and Europe, Indo-European stock of which any demographer is familiar. The whole Celtic race is regarded as descended from Gomer, and through history suggests modern Celts are descended from both Gomer and MAGOG. That is correct. Archaeologists and ethnologists agree that the first Indo-European group to spread across Europe were Celts. That is correct also. The Irish Celts claim to be the descendants of MAGOG, while the Welsh Celts claim to be the descendants of Gomer. Irish chronicles and genealogies, plus an extensive number of manuscripts which have survived from ancient times, reveal their roots. The Irish were descendants of Scythians, also known as Magogians, which is strongly supported by etymological evidence. Archaeological evidence shows that both the Celts from Gomer and Scythians from Magog freely shared and mingled cultures in the earliest stages. I told you so. Russian and Eastern European excavations plainly reveal the blending of these two groups. Their geographic locations in what is now Eastern Europe, Southern Russia, and Asia Minor were referred to by the Greeks under the name of Celto-Scythia, which was populated by the Celts in the south and in the west, and the Scythians to the north. The ancient Greeks first called the northern peoples by the general names of Scythia. But when they became acquainted with the nations in the west, they began to call them by different names of Celts, including the Celto-Scythia. Celts and Scythians were considered essentially the same peoples based on geography, though many independent tribes of Celts and Scythians existed. The Latins called them Galli, Gaelic people, and the Romans referred to them as Gauls, and considered them fiercely independent barbarians. Later names used by Greeks were the Galatai, the Galatei, the Getae, the Keltae, and the Keltoi. In the 3rd century before, not Christos, but Moshiach, the Gauls invaded Rome and were ultimately repelled into Greece, where they migrated into north-central part of Asia Minor, Anatolia. This is how Paul was able to speak to the Galatians that were in Asia Minor. They conquered the indigenous peoples of that region and established their own independent kingdom. The land became known as Galatia. The Apostle Paul wrote in his famous epistle to their descendants, the Galatians. Jewish historian Flavius Josephus wrote in the Galatians that the Galatians in his day, 93 AD or BCE, were previously called Gomerites. There's too much proof, folks. Early Celtic tribes from Gomer settled much of the European theater, including present-day Spain, France, England, and Germany, prior to the contact with the Scythians. For many centuries, France was called Gaul, after the Celtic descendants of Gomer, who ceded the territory to the Romans, and Germanic Teutonic Franks were in France in the 4th century whence France in the 4th century AD or BCE, or I should say CE. Northwest Spain is called Galicia to this day. Some of the Gomerites migrated further into what now is called Wales. You can't get around it, my white supremacist friends, or should I say enemies. That's up to you, whether you want to be my friend or my enemy. If you keep slandering the Jews, you are my enemy. But if you will finally admit that you were wrong, that you were deceived, you can be my friend. The Welsh claimed their ancestors first landed on the Isle of Britain from France, about 300 years after the flood. I don't doubt it. I do not doubt it. The Celtic language survives intact today, mainly in the two variants of Welsh and Irish Scottish Gaelic. The Welsh call their language Gomerag. After Gomer, come on, people, wake up! The Celts today, after Gomer, the Celts today are descendants of Gomer and the blended tribes of MAGOG and Gomer. Now he says present-day Germanic people groups are descendant of both Japheth and Shem. Well, that's partly true. But the Japheth, the Shem part, there's only 300. You can go look it up. There's only 300,000 Assyrians left in Germany. So it's mostly Japheth, okay? All right, the recent history records the descendants of Gomer migrated and settled in the region that is now Northern Europe, Germany, and Scandinavia. These tribes became the Goths, Ostrogoths, Visigoths, Teutons, Burgundians, descendants of some of the first peoples to migrate to Northern Europe from ancient times. The Ashkeni or Ashkenaz, son of Gomer, son of Japheth. When the Ashkeni arrived in Northern Europe, they named the land Askania after themselves, which later translated Scandia, then Scandinavia. Later in history, find that Ashkeni being referred to as Saxony, which became Saxon and finally Saxon. And there goes your sons of Isaac, Ashkenaz, Saxony, blown apart. You see, just as Denmark and some of the Irish came from Danann, see if I can find it here, that does not mean they came from Dan. You see, I don't have all my, anyway. I'm going to lose my place if I'm not careful. The Saxons played a large part in European and English history, but they are not the sons of Isaac, but of Ashkenaz. Oh well, there goes another white supremacist wet dream blown completely apart. Now they admit that there were some Assyrians that did live among the German people, but if you can go, all you got to do is look at this. How many Assyrians live in Germany today? Actually, wow. Huh? Okay, so there are 3.3 million Assyrians throughout the world. Let's look at where they are located. I still think there are like 300,000 in Germany. They have largely emigrated because of massacres such as the Assyrian genocide by the Ottoman Empire during World War I, but that was a lot earlier. So there's a few more than I thought. There's an estimated 3.3 million Assyrians throughout the world, according to a non-profit group, Unrepresented Nations and Peoples and Organizations. 1.5 million live in Iraq, 700,000 live in Syria. There are 400,000 in the U.S. They have largely emigrated because of... There have been so many massacres against Assyrians more than 33 major incidents between 339 and 1992 that the Assyrians commemorate August the 7th as Martyrs' Day. Still can't find out. I just... population of Assyrians in Germany. But look, folks, there's only a little over 1 million. You can't call Germany Assyria. There are some that live there. That's well known. But ever since they got dispersed, defeated by the Babylonians, by the Chaldeans, they had to run for their lives, and it's never changed for them since. All right? Now, Magog's name is also preserved. I want to see if I have... Oh, the Gargarians. I guess this is also Gorgons. Yeah, of Gog. And I think I did a video a long time ago about the royal family of Georgia, of the... I can't remember that anymore. This proves that, the Gog and the Scythians are one and the same, okay? So like I said, I can't go through this whole thing because it would take too long. So today, the Turkish name for Georgia is Gurgistan. In recent history, certain Georgians refer to themselves as Gogi or Gogi. So they're of Gog too. Interestingly, a peculiar Scythian people who appeared at the end of the 14th century AD called the Gogins, a Jogian, emerged as a powerful empire in the region of Tartary, Mongolia. Scholars suggest that they were a mixture of Eastern Scythians and Tungus Manchu people, who for a short time became Central Asian group for historical importance. The empire of the Goegian lasted until the end of the 4th century to the middle of the 6th century. Magog's name is also preserved. Albius Tabilis, Latin poet, in the 1st century BC, mentions the people living on the river Tanals, present day the river Don, called Magini or Magatis, whose scholars say that they were the first who were from the colonies of Magog. The Greeks called the area where the Magini lived along the Tanais, the Maeotian marshes where the river emptied into the Maeotian lake, today the Sea of Azov. The marshes served as a checkpoint to the western migration of nomadic peoples of the steppes of Central Asia. The area was named after Maetois or Toi people, as the Greeks and Latins called them, who lived around the Maeotian lake or sea. Jerome, who translated the Latin Vulgate, an Illyrian Christian apologist of the late 4th and early 5th centuries, affirms the Jews of this age understood by Magog the vast and innumerable nations of Scythia about Mount Caucasus and the Palus Moetis Sea, and stretching along the Caspian Sea all the way to India. Scholars suggest that at the early stages, Magogites assimilate with Scythians, thus making up a part of the earliest Scythian hordes. In fact, wherever or whenever we see references to Gog and Magog and name and place, we also see the Scythians. Many of the mountain peaks of Caucasian mountains and the lands there retain the place named Gog in medieval European and Armenian maps. Scholars also regard Gog and Magog as wild tribes of Central Asia, including the Scythians, Alans, Parthians, Turks, Tartars, but the Mongols and the Huns not so. That's another subject when I get to the sons of Ham. They may have mixed in with him, though. Because if you look, the further north you go with the Mongol types, the fairer skin they get. And in fact, the Mongolians mixed with a lot of the Russians, so that Russians, a lot of them, not all of them, have a Mongol gene that makes them have issues with alcohol. And that's why so many Russians are constantly drunk. You can look that up. You can find it if you look for it. This is going to take way too long. Some have mistakenly confused the term Mongol with MAGOG, and that would be wrong. You just learned today that Japheth is the fair-skinned white people, but not all of his children are fair-skinned and white. But that's where the fair-skinned white people, in the classical sense, as I keep saying, because the Hebrews, the Jews, they don't recognize that terminology. Now, like I said, it would take me way too long to go through all this. As you can see, I'm hardly even halfway through. But I've got enough evidence out there. You can't get around it. Checkmate, you white supremacists. Checkmate.